What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mastery Podcast. I hope everybody's doing well. Here in the UK, I am confident, well, we're all confident, especially among the team at M10, that the lockdown restrictions may be something that's coming up. We don't know when, but at least we've got a glimmer of hopes when I saw on the news this morning about the Boris Johnson having to make a decision sooner or later about the plans out. So we have something to look forward to in terms of, especially getting back to gyms, training, personal training, and restoring a degree of normality. But today on this episode, I have a guest who many of you will be familiar with. And he's been on the podcast before, and he's going to be appearing on the podcast a hell of a lot more due to recent events with the way that we're developing the business. Dan, great to have you, bud.
Thank you. Good to be back again.
Yeah, back again. Well, guys, the episode that Dan and I did at the beginning of the pandemic about personal training, believe it or not, was listened to probably the second most ever podcast on the show. And it's kind of like, if guests are popular, then let's get them back on. But guys, a little introduction, to Dan and our relationship. Those of you who listen to the podcast, follow myself, M10, the brand, Dan. Dan joined M10. Is it 7 years ago now?
Yeah, just over 7 years.
And our relationship has developed, like in any businesses, as people are trying to work out each other and develop relationships. We've had our ups and downs in business, and but our relationship has grown as we've both grown. And this year, Dan and I are very close to finalizing an agreement and a partnership on our personal training mentorship and the education moving forward, and co-directors of that part of the business. So, Dan's as big as you can get member of the M10 family, plays a huge part in the business in terms of personal training, directing the personal trainers and the education, and we are co-directors in the personal training mentorship. So I wanted to put together more episodes with Dan. We've been talking about this, and you're going to hear Dan and I talk a lot more because we've got a huge vision. We've got a massive global vision. It's been, uncovering for years and years since we've been developing the mentorship. But with Dan alongside me, as many of you, if you own a business, will know, you can't grow a business on your own. You need a team. And Dan and I are a very strong unit together. We share a very common vision in helping fitness professionals to take their passion and purpose and build a successful career. And when we team up, we're strong, very, very strong. And we are going to be impacting the lives of thousands of coaches over the years and personal trainers through our mentorship and coaching programs, as well as everything else that we do. So what we wanted to do in today's episode is talk to you all about some very important traits of personal trainers. We're going to talk to personal trainers today, and this will carry over to fitness professionals, fitness business professionals, but here's the thing. To be a successful personal trainer, we've seen over the years that there are an amount of traits, and we've identified 13 or 14. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah. We could have carried on going on, but I think we narrowed it down.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do today was to talk you through 6 of them and just give you an idea of what skill sets personal trainers, fitness professionals possess who are moving forward in developing their careers. But before we do, just to chat out the conversation a little bit before we blast into this, how's everything been going for you, Dan, over the last couple of years? I know obviously the last 6 weeks we've all been locked down. How's everything been going for you?
Yeah, things are well, mate. Like we've spoken about, I think this third one's been the most difficult one for a lot of the people that I'm speaking to, the coaches and clients alike, just simply because there was no end in sight. So as you said right at the start, it'll be nice if we can get a definitive answer of when we can expect to be getting the doors open again. Although it would be relatively new normality, it'll just be nice to. I've been speaking to the boys this morning. It'd be nice when we can actually get in the gym and get back to relative normality. But yeah, as always, mate, every day is a new day. We adapt and survive. As you've always heard me say, it's been a tough year, but most of you coaches and guys listening to this podcast, you've survived. So onwards and upwards, and each day is a new day to continue to be the best versions of yourselves.
Exactly. And it's been amazing because, you and I have been able to pivot big time with the mentorship, and the online coaching has developed, and the guys are coaching their clients, and, we've been able to adapt. Don't get me wrong. We can't wait to get back to the gym. But it's amazing how many fitness professionals and the coaches that you're dealing with as well, Dan, who have risen to the challenge.
Yeah,
risen
yeah.
to the
It's
challenge.
it's really, I mean, the whole phrase kind of the cream's rising to the top kind of is never been truer in regards to it's been tough. And as I've said to a lot of the people I'm working with, I don't think we'll ever go through a time like this again, both in a positive and a negative spin, because it's given us as coaches a real good chance to run the rule over our business, to
Mhm.
see and identify those areas that potentially we're not too hot on. And it's given us a little bit of time that we'd never previously had to continue reinvesting in the areas that we need to, and also updating systems and the stuff that we talk about all the time, to be able to go back into the gym and provide the best quality of service for our clients as well.
Well, I mean, you and I, classic example, we speak all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
We've our relationship and the business relationship, that not just you and me have got, M10, the team, everybody's speaking a lot.
yeah, yeah,
And out of those conversations come opportunities. And I think that a lot of people kind of look very negatively at what's happened with the pandemic, but realistically, there's been a huge opportunity to learn, huge
yeah,
opportunity, as you said, to identify where your weaknesses lie. And like you said, we're not going to get this opportunity again.
yeah.
It's an incredible time. Now, the topic that we wanted to discuss today, was that me? I think that was. Um, the topic we wanted to discuss today was the traits of successful personal trainers, fitness professionals. If you are progressing your career, then you only got to look at what successful people do. And one thing that we've all done, Dan's done, I've done, is we don't model to the point where we copy, but we see things that people do well. And the first one that we discussed when we went through this as a team, and one of the most important things we do at M10 is we discuss the code of best practice, the code, the standards that we have as a business. I don't define them, we define them. And so when we look at what we're doing well within the business, we talk to the team and say, look, everybody's moving forward with their health. Everybody's moving forward with their body and their appearance. And we pride in that. From your perspective, Dan, this trait that we see in trainers that prioritize their health, their body, and their appearance, what do you see as the key benefits to a fitness professional that prides themselves in those three areas?
Well, I think it goes back to a lot of what we speak about in regards to our 6 pillars, obviously sleep, stress, and digestion being 3 of them. If you don't try and test it on yourself, then how are you expected to be able to accurately describe and empathize with your clients when they're going on a life-changing journey? So again, the whole prioritizing health and body, you talk about it a lot in regards to trainers being in shape. By no means do we mean being shredded all year round, but kind of taking due care of and attention over how they look, how they present themselves, their own body, and their own kind of dedication to the craft and understanding their bodies and everything that goes along with the meridian of things that we can I think is vital. And kind of we are our own best teachers. And from my own experience, kind of all the ticks and troubles that I've had with my own body in regards to small injuries and kind of dysfunction and all the kind of factors that we talk about on our mentorship that we should be looking at with clients, the best way to be able to kind of understand them better is to look at your own sleep, look at your own stress, and kind of really use yourself as a coach, as a test dummy, to be trying out all these different methods and these modalities to truly understand your craft. Because from an authentication standpoint, kind of you can speak about it at such a higher level if you understand it, as opposed to just, as we're going to speak about in a bit, just reciting what you've heard from certain books and certain trainers and potential podcasts. So kind of being your own kind of student and looking at your own health, body, and appearance is a vital component to being a good coach, because you're going to learn more from yourself than you are from anybody else, and that ability to then converse it to clients that we're talking to.
Yeah, and I think to go hand in hand with that, we are, I think I said this in a post the other day. We are assuming, as being a coach, the leader role in a relationship of two people. And we speak to a lot of coaches, and we do it, especially on the mentorship, we will bring to personal trainers' attention if they're not in shape. And as you rightly said, they don't have to be shredded, they don't have to be jacked, inverted commas. But taking pride in your appearance and your professionalism, it's a carryover to your standards, but your clients are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Your clients are watching you all the time, and they subconsciously that they will be thinking, is there some leadership on display here? Is this person training? I mean, from being in M10 every day, the guys are the epitome of what we teach. And when clients see everybody training, everybody looking after their health, drinking water, walking their walk, it's a opportunity for the client to be inspired by you. So, as you said rightly, not only is it to do with your own commitment to the things that we're trying to learn. If we try and learn something and we need to teach it as a coach to a client, if we don't understand it, then we can't authentically teach it, right?
Yeah.
And as a result of not being able to teach it, it's only because we've not lived it. And it's easy saying one thing, but doing it's another. So that's why you and I are so big on just ensuring that all the coaches go through the journey. I don't think there's one that hasn't.
No, I think, well, latest Rich has just had a photo shoot, hasn't he? But
Yeah.
from where I started 7 years ago, everybody's gone through some form of body transformation, because if we're to be known as a body transformation center and kind of gym, you've got to have been there to as you said, authentically talk to your clients about that. How can you talk to them about the feelings and the thoughts they're going to be having when embarking on a life-changing journey if you've not been there yourself?
Yeah, of course. We could spend the whole episode of the podcast talking about prioritizing health and body. And also, one thing you and I talk about a lot, sleep.
Yeah.
No, we're going to be working long hours if we want to build a business, build a reputation, build a brand. Maximizing your sleep, things like digestion. You're going to come across a lot of clients with digestive problems. I've had it for years, not now, but I was bloated. I had spots around my eyes, and you remember when I had that. And then it was like, okay, let me go and research this, let me understand this. And by prioritizing my health and understanding what the problems are, you've had shoulder problems, right?
Yeah.
By understanding what they are and how you can address them, you then come across a client and go, well, I've worked on all these with myself, and now I can implement those with my clients. So we've got inspiration, we've got action in terms of clients, and then you've actually got the authenticity because you're teaching something that you've been through yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And no better way than understanding it is on yourself, and be your own greatest student as well. I think kind of as one of the biggest traits of success, kind of it's such a vital component.
Yeah. Now, moving on to number 2, this was an interesting one, and one when the guys came up. I really like this because we use the word consistent. Now, this is a big one with you, right?
Yeah. Consistency is huge for any trainer. Listen to this, kind of the whole adage that we always speak about, kind of you get out what you put in, and you've just mentioned about long hours as a personal trainer, but being consistent is imperative, because the phrase consistency builds momentum. And no matter, I speak to my clients and the mentees and the coaches that I work with alike, that kind of momentum is vital for any sort of progression in this industry. In no matter which area that you're looking at, momentum is vital. And we always talk about kind of no matter how slow the cart's moving, as long as it's moving, there's momentum. And just kind of, it's again can be monotonous for some people, it can be overwhelming for a lot of people, but doing the same day in, day out, and kind of really having that overview and that long distance view of what the end goal is, that's so vital. And you'll be able to attribute this to Mark. Obviously, you've been in the industry 20 years, but kind of every day, your actions will depict what you want to achieve in life. So kind of making sure consistency is, for me, out of the 6 we're going to talk about today, is probably the most vital component. And I've seen great successes in my life, and it's no coincidence. Our relationship's grown, M10 as a business, and the education has grown the more consistent we've been with our action. And kind of for any trainer listening to this, kind of it's going to be a vital kind of part of what you do. And no matter how difficult it seems sometimes, how hard it is, how unmotivated you can be, how overwhelmed you feel, just keep moving. And kind of, we're not expecting perfection, but kind of progress, and like we say, that consistency, and keep that attention to task, and it will serve you well in the long run. And you may not reap the rewards within a month of becoming a personal training, or even a year or 5. I mean, personally, I've been in the industry 12 to 13 years. And I've probably only really seen the kind of the rewards and kind of my career really start to skyrocket in the last 4 to 5 years. But I've never, ever lost sight of what my end goal is and what my role in the industry is going to be and how I see myself. And it's just kind of, it's like the whole phrase Groundhog Day, isn't it? It's just getting up every single day with the sole intention to be better. No matter, and just making sure that consistency is key to your success.
Yeah. And then with consistency and momentum, you have something to measure, right? And I think this is really important. As you said, if you're consistent with your diet with the goal of losing body fat, it's not going to happen on week 1, right? Week 3, week 7, week 12, you should be looking at 5 or 6% body fat down, a little bit more possibly. But that consistency with the diet and the changes and the drops and the adjustments and the same training, the same intensity, the same sleep pattern, the same clients every single day, at one point in your career, you get rewarded. Like with body fat loss, at one point during the 12, 16, 20 weeks, you get rewarded. And as you said, 7 or 8 years into your career, wow, then you start to do things that feel like you're being rewarded. But when we notice that people are being, you look at somebody, if you meet a friend every single week, and one week he's nice and the next week he's nasty, and then the next week he doesn't show up, and you think, I just don't know whether I want to hang around with that person. That level of inconsistency doesn't get rewarded. Mm-hmm. And so with consistency, we were talking a second ago about once consistency is in place, then momentum picks up, then something gets measured, which is a result. And guess what happens when we get a result? Improve our self-confidence. Yeah. And you and I both know that self-confidence is a big stumbling block for coaches, right?
But what's the biggest phrase in the industry at the moment? It's kind of, we're changing habits. Okay, how are habits changed? That single word, consistency.
Yeah.
If you're sticking to your nutrition plan one day off the next day, on the next day, you're not going to build any new habits, and kind of you're going to always revert to type. So kind of in regards to everything that we impart as coaches nowadays, in regards to the results we want to achieve, the lifestyles we want to improve, habits we want to get better, and the true transformational change with clients we want to go through, it all stems to one thing, and it's consistency and attention to task. And that's it. If again, what we don't manage, we can't measure is such a true phrase in the industry at the moment, because it doesn't matter. I always say to my guys, it doesn't matter if you're eating a slice of pizza every day, eat it every day, because from that consistency of pizza, we can measure something and we can make adjustments where necessary. If it's one slice of pizza a day, then 10 the next day, 7 there's no consistency there. So again, the art of consistency as coaches, but also everything we try to impart with the people that we work with, is going to be so vital. And kind of, as we speak about quite a lot with the education that we run, kind of understanding your clients in regards to gain that consistency is a key component of a coach as well, right?
Yeah, of course. And at the end of the week, you turn around to a client. I used to not enjoy doing this, but I'd get a client come in and they hadn't stuck to their diet. Now, providing that there wasn't some of the psychological stuff they have to work through, and they just go, yeah, I had a blip. And I go, okay, just do the same again. We need a consistent week, because then I can measure something. But if you've told me that you've been off plan, I can't measure that, because I've got nothing to work on. I'm not just going to change your calories to account for you being sloppy. And it's the same with coaches on the gym floor. If you're inconsistent with floor walking, if you're inconsistent with putting your content on social media, you've got nothing that you can measure, and therefore you can't make any change, and therefore you're not going to get a reward from inconsistency. I love that. And you and I, again, could stay on consistency for hours, because look at the traits of people prioritize their health, their body, and their appearance, and they're consistent, they get rewarded. Now, the third one that we looked at was education focused. And, you and I adore our education, and been doing it for many, many years. But a trait that, let's say, what's a downside then necessarily to a coach that's not education focused, that hasn't got that as a priority for themselves?
Well, one of the biggest things that coaches want to do in the industry is increase the prices over time. Yeah. And in my opinion, if you're not re-educating, you have no right whatsoever to increase your prices, because what extra value you offer your clients? We know, again, I probably put 10-15% of my wages every single year and re-educate myself in some shape or form, whether that be mentoring with people, doing courses. Obviously, you did John DeMartini's course, the Breakthrough Experience, last week. So even this deep we are in the industry, we still put a massive premise on education, simply because we know in the fitness industry, it's so ever changing. It's moving at such a rate of knots that if you're not re-educating, you're going to fall behind very quickly. And one thing we always we've always said, Mark, we've always spoke about, is for coaches to be specific with your education. Don't be that coach that just does you're like a rabbit in the headlights where you see a course and you like it and kind of you go for it. We don't mean do every course known to man, but have a structure around your education and understand why you're doing it in regards to, as you talk about often, and you'll be able to talk about it better than me, but are you doing education relatable to the values that you have?
Yeah,
Kind of,
true.
is your education congruent with the person, the coach that you want to become, or are you just hopping from course to course and not actually applying anything? So when it comes to education, we say a lot is, and every course you do, you've got to take a little bit of time off after the course to make sure that you're accurately applying everything that you've learned. So many coaches in the industry nowadays do a hell of a lot of courses, but they're no further than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago because they've not done the one vital component of education, which is application, right? So for me, kind of education for the boys that work at M10, myself and yourself, Mark, it's a vital component, but be very specific with your education. Don't just bounce from course to course. Have a structure and understand the end, like we've said over a couple of the points already, the end goal of the course. And the most important thing is to be able to practically apply what you're learning.
Yeah. I mean, the coaches at M10, I mean, we say, yes, they're learning, yes, they're going on courses, but you go in the gym at any one time, Dan, and you know this more than me now, you see the coaches talking about physiology, biochemistry, whatever, they're talking about program design and clients that are struggling. To me, that's education, because you're utilizing each other to learn and challenge each other and grow. In certain environments, for a lot of personal trainers, either they're the smartest person in the gym or education isn't a priority. I know a lot of the commercial gyms, the PTs are in there to do loads of hours. And the funny thing is, you and I were talking about this the other day, today actually. Many personal trainers, 3, 4, 5 years into their career, one, they're not earning any more money. And we said to the team today, if they had no progression, there'd be stagnation. And when you're stagnation, you're frustrated. And a lot of personal trainers end up blaming the gym, blaming the clients that they've got, moaning about the clients that they've got, but they're not getting rewarded. Well, you and I both know we both weren't the brightest at school.
Yeah.
Right. And there's me saying you're not bright. We had a conversation earlier about it. It sounds like I'm just saying you weren't clever. Yes. But there was stuff that we were not particularly academic in some areas.
Yeah.
But then you join the fitness industry and you start studying the things that we both love. And then you become committed to enjoying the reward that brings, charging more, getting better results, feeling more confident. And so a coach who isn't education focused will often start to say, I'm burnt out, I'm not enjoying my career, my clients aren't getting results, this isn't what it actually was supposed to be cracked out. You haven't done what's necessary to give you that reward, right?
Yeah, it's true. And on the other side of the coin is kind of, as you quite rightly mentioned earlier on, like education's not a big thing in some places. And one thing we can both agree, some of the nicest people and some of our best friends in the industry, we've met them where? We've met them on courses. Yeah, because if you're going on course and consistently re-educating, you're going to be in a realm of like-minded people that think like you, people that are destined to become great coaches simply because you surround yourself with that excellence. A big thing for me is a saying that I've always thought about and kind of is, I'd never want to be the smartest person in a room because I won't learn. So kind of put myself into vulnerable situations where I'm surrounded by people that are further on in their career or potentially know more about a certain topic. I mean, we're lucky at M10 because the atmosphere in there is infectious in regards to the thirst for learning. So I speak from a kind of very privileged position in regards to the boys that we have at M10 are constantly talking about things they're learning. So it's an environment that constitutes growth, but it's understanding that a lot of you guys listening to this podcast, you aren't surrounded by that. So if you aren't surrounded by that, go and find it. And the only place you're going to find that is in places which inspire you and places and positions where you're going to be around like-minded people. So as well as kind of becoming a more educated trainer, the goal of meeting new people and living, as we spoke about before, living to your higher values and being surrounded by success is only going to breed one thing, and that's success. The whole Jim Rohn saying of kind of you're as successful as the 5 people you spend your most time around. Who are you spending time around? And look around you, not so much at the moment because we're in lockdown, but when you're back in a gym, are you that coach that spends having jokes in the cafe with fellow colleagues or bouncing around? Or are you have you got your head in a book and on the gym floor conversing with people, trying to make people's lives better?
No,
You come
so
across
true.
the environment, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Now, this is one, you and I have discussed many, many times. Our incredible passion to know ourselves, to find ourselves. And what we notice with trainers who, we say success is subjective at the end of the day, because success for one person might be making loads of money. Success to somebody might literally be, a quality of life and an amount of hours that they want to work to fulfill their family and their life and their holidays and whatever they want to do. But one thing we can't deny is success is linked to progress. And, we talked about prioritizing healthy body, being consistent and learning more. But one thing we notice in trainers that are content and moving forward in their careers is they are their true authentic self. And you and I have been talking a lot about the fact that social media in the fitness industry, whilst it's a phenomenal thing, and I did say this to somebody the other day, it's back in the day when we were watching TV only and there wasn't social media. We talked about this comparison thing, which we'll get into in a second. But whether it was magazines, we're looking at the Marlboro Man back in the day and the magazines when he was on the Cowboy, and guys were like, I just want to be that. He's probably got more than I've got. We've always had this comparison thing, but especially
nobody on here is going to understand the Marlboro Man analogy.
Damn.
Really showing our age now, Mark. You're supposed to say something a little bit more relatable.
Bit relatable.
Yeah. Nobody's
so if you
the Marlboro Man, right?
Well, they used to be smoking on the back of magazines. I remember those. But I had pictures of the Cowboy, the Marlboro Man. Guys, just go on the internet and type in Marlboro Man 1936 when I was younger.
After the war, right?
Just after the war. Yeah, but you know what? There's always been this kind of element of comparison around. It's become heightened with social media and seeing so many different people giving us this idea of a perfect life in terms of what people see. But this whole idea of living truly according to you, and you said to me a second ago, which we were inevitably going to touch on, living according to your highest values. I live every single day according to what I'm deeply inspired to do. I love to teach. I love to study. I love personal development. I love my team and growing the business with you guys. And I'm doing what I love. And very early on in my career, I found myself going down like a therapy route, a movement, nothing against the kind of movement world in the fitness industry. I wasn't inspired. I didn't feel like I belonged there, but I thought that that's where I needed to be in the industry, but I wasn't very happy doing it. And then when I suddenly started to find lifting, body composition, getting lean and adding some muscle, I suddenly felt like I belonged. But that's where that's where my true authentic self was. And that's when I realized, I've not been living according to my true authentic self up till then. And I know what that feels like, right? And I think it's just a great discussion point that we notice, it takes a while to find it, but if you don't start looking for what it is, you can very often live your life imitating somebody else's.
Yeah. And for everything that I see, kind of, especially all the coaches that I speak to kind of at the moment, kind of, as you said earlier, social media is a big thing. That whole kind of everybody's putting stuff on that, and everybody wants to be like somebody else. And I think I came up with a phrase earlier on, kind of one thing I talk to a lot of my guys about, and I'm very, very big on myself, is kind of understanding that as human beings, we have a superpower. And it came to light earlier on when I was speaking to Mark, but kind of your superpower is being yourself. Like I say to a lot of coaches, and this art of comparison, like when we talk about stress, when we talk about sleep, we're not reinventing the wheel. Different people will be talking about stress, but essentially the stress response is exactly the same. It doesn't change. But the difference being that when I teach a stress response, nobody can teach it better than me, because I'm teaching it as Dan Smith. And my superpower, and you, everybody listening, your superpower is you are you. And there's no, the whole point of being human is apart, unless you're a twin, kind of nobody, there's not any two of you. So kind of being your true authentic self and not trying to compare yourself to anybody else, because you're not like, unfortunately, you're not like on anybody else. I'd love to have the body of Simeon Panda or whoever kind of you look at idolizing the industry and kind of a physique that you aspire to have. But it's ultimately being happy with the physique I have because I'm Dan Smith and there's nobody in the world that's like me, which is what makes me special.
But on that point, you know, just
go on, mate.
You said, sorry, I just, you know, it was interesting when we discussed that point, because at the end of the day, if you were dedicating yourself to training 2 hours a day, eating the quantity of food that some bodybuilders would do, and dedicating yourself to running a social media platform and ending up being a social media influence, you wouldn't be fulfilled, because your life truly is about personal training, building your business, building your reputation as an educator. And therefore it wouldn't actually benefit you to be like that, right? And I think that's that fantasy of, don't get me wrong, you know, I've had a point where right now, you know, I actually know what it was like to be 120 kilos. I know what that's like. I know how uncomfortable eating was. I know how sleep was a challenge for me. And right now, the way that we're living our life, carrying my body weight that I am now, being strong, training, this aligns so well with everything that I do. So we can look at what other people have got, but we don't actually see the downsides of that relevant to the things that we currently love more than anything. I mean, you love, you know, your son and going out and about and, you know, coaching your clients and doing a remote coaching online. And then suddenly we look at coaches and go, but would you want to be that person? Because at the end of the day, I truly do believe that whoever anybody is today, they're displaying what it is that they truly want to be doing, right?
Yeah, and it's like you always say, kind of, it's so vital that, but a lot of people don't actually understand what it is they want because they're so confused about what their true authentic self looks like. So this is why we're so in the mentorship, and when you hear your podcast and us speak, it's so much kind of on personal development, because understanding yourself is a vital component. So when we talk about your true authentic self, a lot of you guys listen to this currently today, I would hazard a guess, and this is me speaking out of turn, but you don't know who you are, which is fine. But if you haven't been on a journey of self-discovery, which I've been on now for, God, 18, 19 years, and I'm still learning stuff about myself every single day. So kind of, yeah, being a true version of yourself and comparing yourself to no one is vital in regards to you progressing as well, because those self-imposed limitations that you will put on yourself because you're not earning this money, you're not getting the results so-and-so's getting, you don't look like so-and-so. It's just a self-imposed limit. I mean, we as human beings, we can do what we want to do, but understanding yourself is of the highest importance before you can start to progressively move forward with anything you want to do, right?
100%. And you know what, we've noticed something massively in our careers. When we are massively challenged emotionally by not feeling good enough or comparing ourselves to other people, we've also, you and I have noticed this, trainers that are doing that find retaining information very difficult because they're so stressed. And they go on all these courses, they learn everything, they don't know how to apply it on their social media because they're not being true to themselves, they're trying to be somebody else. And there's this character that's going through trying to learn things, thinking learning those things is going to make them a better coach. Finding you and then learning makes learning a damn sight easier because it's going into someone that's true and authentic, you know? Go on.
No. That's fine.
Good. Good. Good, you've stopped. Thank you. So number 5 was that's been so number 5. We looked at something we pride ourselves on with M10 massively is professionalism, and we really talk about it. When we sit down with the team, we're drilling it into the team all the time. In fact, I wouldn't say drilling it into the team, because the one thing that we don't do at the business is tell everybody how to be. We all agree that the route to us being successful is professional. And I know that that's a value of mine, and we don't try and make it a value of the guys, but the guys value it because they see the value in it. And ultimately professionalism, for us, it's, if you look at businesses that aren't professional, they don't end up receiving referrals. They don't end up working with the type of clients that are prepared to pay them the type of money if they want to charge more per hour, right?
Yeah.
And as you said rightly, it's what you're known for. And when you're walking into a gym, do you want to be known for scruffy, untidy, foul-mouthed, lack of attention to people? Do you want to be known for that? If you go into, Dan and I have talked about this, we both like nice places, quality hotels, first-class travel. Why? Because one, you deserve to, but two, you see professionalism. And for me, over the years, whether it's hotels or restaurants, I don't go and have a meal and not take on board. Listen, there's something that people that are charging good money and got a great reputation do: professionalism. But what are they displaying? And as you said, what you're known for. And I think from a coaching perspective, and you'll see this, there's a very common trait between trainers that are stagnating and successful. The successful ones are displaying a high degree of professionalism, right?
Yeah, kind of. It's like we say with all the coaches that we put through the education. It's understanding what people are saying about you, and kind of understanding that your quality of service from top to bottom kind of is going to be a representation of how people perceive you. And when people are talking about you in the local area or in the gym, kind of what other things are saying about you in regards to how you look, how you carry yourself, the information you impart, how helpful you are, how polite you are, how courteous, all these cofactors that we take for granted. This is why we say at M10, like when we're in the gym, kind of no matter what the boys have got on their head, if they've had an argument or they're not feeling great today, as soon as they cross that white line,
of course,
they're there for the clients. And it's vitally important, because just one day off or one day where they're feeling a little bit under the weather or annoyed at something, if they carry it onto the gym floor, that could, again, it doesn't take long for people to start saying, oh, so-and-so is grumpy, or so-and-so is not happy, or the persona of so-and-so is not great. And for me, I've always been very good at kind of knowing that kind of, it's essentially, for want of a better phrase, it's showtime. When you go onto the gym floor, kind of, and you're received by your clients, you're there to make it the best hour of their day. So carrying your problems, so how you carry yourself, the education that you impart, the whole client journey is going to be vitally important. And it is understanding, it's humanizing yourself as a coach as well, and understanding you're not going to get everything perfect. Mm-hmm. You are going to make mistakes, but being honest enough with yourself to understand the areas that you can improve on, and asking for feedback off your clients is going to be vitally important, because we speak about it a lot. Perfection's not attainable, but constant progress is. And it's understanding that kind of every day is a new day to learn, and kind of professionalism is going to be very high up in regards to everything that you do. M10, we pride ourselves kind of in the gym, from the minute somebody walks into the door to the minute they leave, it's an A-star service. As Mark, his reference is always, it's a Ferrari of personal training. Yeah. And that's how we see that. But if you as coaches kind of see yourselves as a Ferrari of what you're doing, it's going to be vitally important. And for those of you kind of that haven't got an idea of what professionalism looks like we've said, go to a place that's a little bit nicer, or go to a gym that you high and high regard, and see what they're doing and mirror that, because again, what people are saying about you is going to be vitally important in regards to your progression in life and in the industry as well.
And as a direct response to that, the more professional you're regarded, somebody then reaches out and says, your friend's referred to me, says that he absolutely thought the service was spot on, the results he achieved, the attention to detail. This goes to same for online coaches. There's a lot of online coaches that are just assuming a client signing up with them, happy days, sending over a program, sending over a template, not having the highest regard for professionalism. And as a result, the client stays 6 weeks, doesn't tell any friends. People that see something professional want to tell other people, because they feel like they've had the creme de la creme, and they're like, hey, my coach, she, proper, delivering the best service. And as a result, you get a referral at that level. There's a reason why Dan's been able to charge more. I've been able to charge more, because of what you're known for delivering, not just the fact you're a coach.
Yeah.
So a trait that we've all seen: professionalism, and sitting down and actually saying, what are the professional traits or standards that I want to run my business according to? And we regularly go through the M10 code of conduct and look at what our degrees of professionalism are. And then you, as we've said on point number 2, then you remain consistent.
Yeah.
And you only get known for something over time, not immediately. Now, the last one we talked about, which was, I know with you and I, we describe ourselves as something. I'm going to let you explain this one, because we talk about enjoying working with different people. And there's a particular animal that you refer us both to. And I think this is true, not just from me and you. It'll sound a bit, when you say it, it's like I've got this big build up to this amazing animal, but it's a bit of an odd one. But when coaches, successful coaches, in our opinion, are adaptable to different personalities, and they enjoy working with different people. But I know for you, what are the benefits that you found with being that type of coach? And what's the animal?
It's a chameleon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered. I didn't. I was thinking to myself,
Yeah, I made it complicated.
have I said another animal at some point? Because I was trying to decide whether chameleon was actually an animal.
Was it? Yeah. That's me and my nature program.
Chameleon, isn't it? And I've always, as you've always heard me say, Mark, I've been in industry a long time now, and I've learned so much more about human behavior, psychology, mindset from working with such a vast degree of people, that we've got to be adaptable. All the new trainers that I speak to nowadays, kind of, they want to identify their perfect avatar, but I try to repel them against that to begin with. If you're an early trainer, work with every single type of person, because that's where you're going to really learn and perfect your craft when it comes to the most important subjects like mindset and psychology. I've got a very avid saying in regards to when I work with clients, kind of, I don't have a particular avatar of what they look like. My one requirement is their ability to change their mind, and look, being able to facilitate delving into mindset and psychology. I don't care whether they're 15 stone overweight or they're anorexic, for want of a better word, like both ends of the scale. Kind of, for me, it's not having a perfect avatar, it's understanding that they come to me with the objective to change. So working with a vast amount of people is going to be vital for those of you guys that are new to the gym, or in your early years of your career, even you guys that have been in industry years. Kind of, I won't turn anyone away, because kind of there is always something new to be learned. And the minute you stop learning, and the minute you stop listening to your clients and taking on board the emotions and things that they're doing, is the day that you start to stagnate. And I've always said in my career, I will be personal training until you drag me off the gym floor, albeit as my role starts to change, kind of the amount of personal training I'll do will reduce a little bit. But kind of, in order for me to authentically be able to keep on top of my craft, working with a vast array of different people from all walks of life is what's going to set you apart. We always speak about, Mark, in regards to the people that we've worked with, kind of, I have the ability to walk into any room and find a common ground and build rapport with that set of people. Because I've spent so much of my life working with people, so many different types of people, all ages, races, from different backgrounds, kind of different social circles. And it's going to be vital from a kind of coaching perspective to have a massive breadth of people that you work with, to start to understand the commonalities, and kind of, it just, all that's going to do, it's going to kind of expand your toolbox. And that's one of the reasons why we can sit here and say that you put any person in front of any of us guys at M10, and we will guarantee you results.
Yeah, I mean, we'll work with millionaires. We'll work with people that are on the breadline. Black, white, fat, thin, Indian, Asian, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, one of the most important things is at M10 is that you're gonna work hard, and rightly so, Dan. You are open-minded to the way that we can help you change the way that you look and feel, live, and your health and happiness. And if you're open-minded to that, then we can take anybody on board. And I think at the end of the day, do you know what's funny? I could say, isolated in terms of some of the business stuff that I do. That's why I use a kind of generalized helping fitness professionals, because I'll have somebody come to see me with zero self-confidence. Then I'll have somebody with lots of self-confidence. Then we'll have a personal trainer that's just started, or a personal trainer that's 6 years in. And one of them is coming from a real broken family with real massive struggles. They're the ones coming from a really happy background, but got really low self-confidence in their training ability. And unless you can move in between those people, you end up just getting to, I've never dealt with that person before, because I've just run away from that type of person. For you and I to go into a social environment and just meet different people, talk through different challenges, I just find that I spoke to a colleague of mine a while ago, and it was very interesting. She said, you're still mentoring to this day because the challenge of working with different types of people helps me adapt the way that I teach. And I would say to you, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, that all the different types of people that you've worked with over the years has helped you become a better teacher.
100%. I'm a student every single day of my life.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
something new to learn from you, from the boys I work with, from the clients I teach, from everybody I come into contact with. But it's kind of having that openness to learn, and that's what I say with kind of that adaptability that you talk so frequently of. Kind of, it's important. I mean, we use a lot of different models in regards to personality profile in M10.
Yeah,
Obviously,
of course.
we've got the values, Myers-Briggs model, stages of change model that we teach on the mentorship. We've got a
Yeah.
multitude of different personality profile testing tools that we use to decipher the type of client we're with. But all that renders pointless if you haven't got the biggest thing that we always talk about, which is that intuition. And you only gain that intuition by working with a vast array of different people.
I think that's a huge point.
Yeah.
You cannot develop intuition and start to, when somebody walks in the room, are we adapting to, as you said, calm or bring them up? Do we feel them? But we only get a chance to feel somebody, and this doesn't happen. Like when they were talking about expertise. I was talking recently. We've got Sarah, who's marketing director, you coaching director, and director of the personal training mentorship. There's not one of the senior people at the director level within 10 that's not done 10 years.
No.
Because I truly do believe that's why this consistency and long game mind is so important, that you really don't become good until that 7, 8, 9, 10-year mark, because you've got to work with a lot of variety of people. That's why a lot of PTs go, I just don't know how to get my clients results. It's like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You've not really worked with enough people to know, and we on a mentorship can give you as many case studies as we possibly can to give you an idea of what you do. But until you've worked at that level of adaptability with different people, you haven't developed the skill set. You're just being told what to do, right?
Yeah, which ties into every one of the 6 points that we've spoken about today: the prioritizing health, consistency, education, the authentic self, the professionalism. They all tie into this working with different types of people. So they're all so interchangeable that these success traits that we speak of are kind of common in everybody, but you just don't tap into them. And as we always speak about M10, kind of that whole acceptance and awareness kind of, but being able to be very good at auto-regulating the stuff that you're not doing. And everybody possesses the traits we talk about, but it's being able to action them on all the points that we speak about, we've spoken about today.
And as you just said, everybody has the possibility to display these. They're in us. Like, Dan, you're no different to me. The boys at M10 are no different to me and you. We started on the gym floor. We started as PTs on the gym floor with our name badges, not knowing what the blooming hell to do, working out our systems of sales and building our own self-confidence, building these traits. And what inspires me and you and the team at M10 more than anything is giving coaches that opportunity to see their true potential as a fitness professional. And, guys, before we finish, please just write down the traits that Dan just reminded us of. 1, prioritizing health, body, and appearance. 2, consistent. 3, education focused. 4, true living and coaching and being true to your authentic self. Professional, and enjoy working with different people, adaptable to different personalities. These 6 traits, if you work on them and you work with people, April the 19th, we start our next personal training mentorship, 6 months with us for 24 weeks, instilling these traits and learning all the science, the theory, the practical ability, and being mentored by one of the M10 team. You will not find a better mentorship for personal trainers. Dan and I, welcome you all. Just click the link in my bio, Dan's bio, go to m10life.com. You'll see all the information. We wanted to bring this episode together today to give you a real good understanding of these traits. What is it that you've got to be working on to get to where you want to be getting to? Not just individual piece of education, working on you to become the type of professional that gets you to where you want to be. Dan, I really enjoyed this.
Always a pleasure, mate.
the opportunity for me and you to just talk about what we love, but use this podcast as an episode to be able to share with other coaches, and then hopefully see coaches through our education program and let us take you deeper into the world that we've developed, and hopefully see you guys on it. But Dan, absolute pleasure, bud. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Guys, if you want to follow Dan, what's your Instagram name, Dan?
Dan Smith _coach.
Cool. And so you can follow Dan. You'll obviously see the episode everywhere, guys. But please do drop Dan and I a message. Please share the podcast. Take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast. If this lands on your Instagram page and your colleagues see it who don't know us, and it puts them in touch with our education, then you are helping me and Dan reach so many more coaches, and not just helping the industry. We're helping individuals, and in doing that, it helps everybody move forward with their careers. So guys, please share the podcast. And I really hope you enjoyed it. And just once again, Dan, thanks a lot for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.